Welcome to the deep dive. So you've shared some really interesting sources with us today, all kind of focused on managing Azure resources.
Yeah, getting a real grip on them.
Right.
Not just keeping things running, but making sure they're secure and compliant.
Exactly. Because honestly, sometimes navigating all the Azure management stuff, it feels a bit overwhelming.
It can definitely feel that way. So much there.
So our mission today really is to drill down into two really key tools, Azure Policy and Azure Resource Locks.
Yep. These are fundamental for governance in Azure.
Think of this as like the fast track to feeling more in control, more compliant without getting buried in tech docs.
Absolutely. We want to pull out the main purpose, the core function of each one,
Okay.
and show how they work together, but also where they're different. It's
Yeah.
about bringing order, basically. Real security.
Right. Let's start with Azure Policy then, unpack that one first. So fundamentally, it's about compliance. Yeah. Control.
That's the heart of it. It's an Azure service, lets you um, create rules, assign them, manage them. These rules or policies govern your resources.
Keeping things in line with company standards, regulations, that kind of thing.
Precisely. And what's neat is how you define them. You can have single, very specific policies.
Okay.
Or you can group related ones together into these things called initiatives, say for all your security policies.
Ah, like a bundle deal for rules.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And once they're set up, Azure Policy is constantly checking your resources.
Checking existing ones. And new ones too.
Both. It flags anything non-compliant. And importantly, it can actually stop you from creating resources that would break the rules in the first place.
Oh, proactive. I like that. And you mentioned flexibility earlier. Where can these policies actually be applied?
Great question. Lots of levels. You can target a single resource or a whole resource group, a subscription.
Even higher up?
Yeah, even management groups, which sit above subscriptions.
Okay.
And the key thing is inheritance.
Inheritance,
There
meaning
are policies applied at a higher level, say a subscription, automatically flow down to everything inside it, all the resource groups, all the resources.
okay. So set it once at the top and it covers everything below, like that resource group example in the sources.
Exactly like that example.
Yeah.
Set a policy on the group and boom, every resource inside has to follow it. Makes managing things at scale way easier.
Definitely sounds less painful than doing it one by one. Now, I saw something about Azure having like ready-made policies.
Oh yeah, tons of them. Built-in policy definitions and initiative definitions too. They cover common stuff. Storage, networking, compute, security center, monitoring.
So you don't always have to start from scratch.
Not at all. They're a great starting point. Cover lots of best practices right out of the box.
Okay, makes sense. Could you walk us through a sort of concrete example? How would a policy work day to day?
Sure. Let's take restricting VM sizes. Maybe you want to control costs or ensure certain performance levels.
Right. Only allow certain types of VMs?
Exactly. You create a policy for that. Then, if someone tries to create a new VM or even resize an old one,
Policy checks.
policy jumps in, checks the size. If it's not on your allowed list, the action can be blocked. Denied right there.
Okay.
And, crucially, it also looks back. It evaluates all your existing VMs against that policy, even ones created before the policy existed. It's continuous.
So it's not just gatekeeping for new stuff, it's also auditing what's already there.
Got it. And I think I read it can even fix some things automatically.
You did. That's the auto remediation part. For certain kinds of issues, yes.
Like what?
Well, imagine a policy that says all resources must have an app name tag, maybe with the value special orders.
Okay, standard tagging policy.
Right. If policy finds a resource missing that tag, it can be configured to just add it automatically.
Huh. So it cleans things up for you? Reduces the manual work?
Big time. Helps keep everything consistent, properly categorized,
Yeah.
Take some load off the operations team. But hang on. What if, just say, there's one specific server that shouldn't have that tag for some weird valid reason? You don't want it messing things up.
Good point. And you still have control. You can mark specific resources as exceptions.
Ah, okay.
So the policy still applies broadly, but you tell it, hands off this particular one for remediation. Gives you that needed flexibility.
That's smart. Handles the edge cases. Now, something else mentioned was integration with Azure DevOps. How does that fit in?
Yeah, but that's pretty powerful. It extends policy into your development pipeline, your CI/CD process.
How so?
You can apply policies during the pipeline. So before infrastructure even gets deployed to Azure, you can check if it meets standards.
So you catch problems earlier, like shift left for compliance.
Exactly that. Check pre-deployment, check post-deployment. It reduces the risk of non-compliant stuff ever hitting your production environment. Saves rework later.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've covered individual policies, but you mentioned initiatives earlier too. Why bundle them?
Initiatives are really about strategy. Grouping policies that work towards a bigger goal.
Like security hardening, maybe.
Perfect example. Instead of assigning like 50 separate security policies, you assign one initiative that contains all of them.
It just simplifies management.
Massively. It's a logical container. Makes it much easier to see your compliance posture for that whole area, security costs, whatever the focus is. Gives you a clearer picture.
Can you give us a specific example of an initiative?
Yeah, the sources mentioned one called Enable Monitoring in Azure Security Center.
Okay, sounds broad.
It is. The goal is full security monitoring via Security Center. So inside that initiative, you've got individual policies like monitor unencrypted SQL databases, monitor OS vulnerabilities, monitor missing endpoint protection.
Wow, okay.
And the source noted an initiative like that could have like over 100 individual policies inside.
Over 100, geez. That really shows the scale.
It does. It packages up a whole compliance area for you. Super efficient at scale.
Okay, so that's Azure policy. Setting the rules, checking compliance, even fixing things. Got it. Let's pivot now. Azure resource locks. Sounds different.
Very different purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
Resource locks are purely about protection, specifically stopping accidental deletion or modification of critical resources.
Accidental, like someone hitting the wrong button.
Exactly. Or maybe a script going wrong. It's a safety net. And crucially, it works on top of Azure Role-Based Access Control, RBAC.
Meaning, it overrides RBAC.
It can, yes. Even if you have permissions through RBAC to delete something, if there's a lock on it, the lock stops you.
Whoa. Okay, that's serious protection. Where can you put these locks? Same places as policies.
Pretty similar scope, yeah. Individual resources, resource groups, whole subscriptions.
And they inherit too.
They do. Lock the resource group and everything inside gets locked automatically. Same inheritance logic.
Okay, and what kind of locks are there? Just one type?
Two main types. First is delete.
Prevents deletion, I assume.
Correct. You can still read the resource. You can still modify it if you have permissions, but you just cannot delete it.
Okay, that's one level. What's the other?
The other is read-only, and that's stricter.
Read-only. So no changes at all.
Exactly. You can only read the resource. No deleting, no updating, no modifying configurations, nothing. The source compared it to the reader role in RBAC.
Right, like making it look but don't touch. For super critical stuff, I guess, a core database or network component.
Precisely. That's where read-only gives you the absolute maximum protection against accidents.
Makes sense. How do you actually, put these locks on or take them off?
Several ways. Azure Portal is common, point and click.
Find it in the settings somewhere?
Usually, yeah, in the settings blade for the resource.
Okay.
But you can also use PowerShell, Azure CLI for scripting, or even ARM templates for infrastructure as code.
Okay, options there. So say you've linked something down tight with read-only, but now you legitimately need to change it or even delete it. Are you stuck?
Not stuck, but there's a deliberate process. It's 2 steps.
2 steps.
Yep. First, you absolutely must remove the lock itself.
Okay, step 1, remove lock.
Then, step 2, you can perform whatever action your RBAC permissions allow, modify, delete, whatever.
Ah, so you can't just barge in. You have to consciously unlock it first.
Exactly. It forces that pause, that deliberate action, like taking a safety catch off. And remember, this applies even if you're the resource owner, according to RBAC. The lock trumps those permissions until it's removed.
It's a definite friction point, designed purely for safety. I get it. Okay, so we have policy for rules and compliance, locks for brute force protection. How do they work together? Do people use both?
Oh, definitely. They serve different but really complementary roles.
Oh, so?
Think of policy as setting the rules of the game, governance, compliance, what should happen, what can be done.
The rule book.
Right. And locks are like the high security fence around your most valuable assets protection. What cannot be done, accidentally or otherwise, preventing specific actions.
Rule book versus fence. Okay. Can you maybe paint a picture, a scenario where you'd use both together?
Sure, let's use storage accounts again. You could have an Azure policy ensuring all new storage accounts must have encryption enabled. That's your governance rule via policy.
Standard security practice.
Right. But then maybe you have one super critical storage account. Contains, I don't know, sensitive financial data.
The crown jewels.
Exactly. On that specific storage account, you might apply a read-only resource lock
Why?
To make absolutely sure nobody, not even an admin making a mistake, can accidentally delete it or tweak its settings.
Ah, so policy sets the baseline for all accounts encryption, and lock provides Fort Knox level protection for one specific vital account.
You got it. Policy for broad compliance, lock for targeted, critical protection, layered security and control.
That really clarifies how they complement each other. Okay, great. So, as we sort of wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things people should take away about Azure Policy and Resource Locks?
I'd say the key things are Azure Policy is your go-to for setting the rules, enforcing standards, and ensuring compliance across your Azure landscape. It's about defining what should be.
Establishing the guardrails.
Exactly. And Azure Resource Locks are your essential safety net for critical resources. They prevent accidental deletion or changes, acting as a hard stop, even overriding RBAC permissions.
The emergency brake.
Kind of, yeah. Understanding both and how to use them gives you much tighter control and better security over your whole Azure setup.
Absolutely. It's moving from just running to running right securely, compliantly, safely. So, thinking about all this control, here's a final thought. Considering what you now know is possible with policy and locks, what part of managing your cloud resources, something that maybe worried you before, might you tackle now with, well, a bit more confidence? Could be a specific resource, maybe ensuring consistent tagging, who knows? Something to think about how you can apply this to your environment. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.